Disney's own audience has rejected the apology of their Snow White actress, whose casting was praised as a bold and progressive move in line with Disney's DEI agenda. However, that decision quickly spiraled into a storm of delays, controversy, and backlash.
It was after posting a video where she said, if you're not voting for Kamala, unfollow me. I don't need your business. Telling over half of the audience for her Disney live-action bastardization of Snow White.
Disney's decision is shaping up to be one of its worst ever, especially with Snow White being one of the most critical releases in its history. When Rachel Zegler first debuted in West Side Story 3 years ago, there were already signs that she might end up being a major liability, not just for herself, but for Disney as well. What many feared became reality as Rachel made blunder after blunder post West Side Story, and her attempts at damage control only made things worse. At first, she seemed promising. For instance, during the film's promotion, she proudly embraced her heritage. But soon, the conversation took a turn, spiraling into a debate about what it truly means to be of Latin descent, with Rachel even questioning concepts like,
speak the language? Does it matter?
Does it matter?
Do you eat the food? Does it matter? Where do you come from? And how do you feel about who you are? And are you comfortable in your identity?
It was almost like Rachel was trying to fit into every box while belonging to none. She even admitted to struggling with imposter syndrome at the time, saying, I haven't done any other film projects, but I'm constantly pinching myself. For a brief moment, she seemed genuinely grateful for the opportunity, but that didn't last long. Rachel's true colors showed when she started publicly complaining about not being invited to the 94th Academy Awards, even though West Side Story was nominated for multiple awards. Instead of handling it gracefully, she took to Twitter with a sarcastic post about how she'd be wearing sweatpants and my boyfriend's flannel from her couch. Dramatic, to say the least. She didn't stop there, continuing to vent her disappointment online, practically begging for sympathy. And guess what? It worked. Disney swooped in like a fairy godmother, waved their wand, and suddenly, Rachel wasn't just invited. She was given a spot as a presenter. That moment seemed to flip a switch. With Disney backing her, she acted like she could do whatever she wanted, and she did. Fast forward to her next PR disaster, the Shazam! Fury of the Gods press tour. When asked why she took the role, instead of praising the story or character, she bluntly admitted, I needed a job. Not exactly red carpet material. Naturally, the comment rubbed people the wrong way, but she didn't stop there. She also showed up wearing a top with a bold, almost rude message, stirring even more controversy.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Oh, is that right?
But let's not forget the moment that truly cemented Rachel's reputation, being cast as Disney's new Snow White. You'd think landing such an iconic role would inspire humility, or at least professionalism. Instead, Rachel took every chance to trash the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She called it outdated, criticized the storyline, and even admitted she had only watched it once because it scared her as a kid. Not exactly the kind of attitude you'd expect from someone playing one of Disney's most beloved princesses. Fans weren't having it, especially Disney fans, who were furious. Snow White is one of the most legendary characters in animation history, and here is the actress meant to bring her to life openly bashing the film that started it all. To make matters worse, controversy also surrounded the depiction of the dwarves, forcing Disney to scrap and reshoot parts of the movie. The backlash and delays reportedly played a huge role in Disney's decision to push the release date back by a whole year. Publicly, they blamed the actors' strike, but insiders suggested the real reason was fear. Fear that the film would bomb at the box office due to the outrage surrounding Rachel's comments and the overall direction of the project. Disney's Snow White remake has turned into an absolute disaster, and much of it traces back to Rachel Zegler. At this point, she might be the ultimate example of how one person can single-handedly derail a massive project. And it's not just about the delays or the staggering $200 million budget. It's the fact that Rachel's own behavior has alienated the very audience Disney desperately needs. The massive boycott began back in August when the film's trailer racked up 1.3 million dislikes. The backlash was so intense that branding experts warned Disney this could be catastrophic, not just for Snow White, but for any future sequels they had planned. Crisis talks? You better believe those were happening behind closed doors.
Rachel Zegler's very, very narcissistic. I'm better than everyone. I know better. I'm going to present the right version of Snow White for the modern audiences. Not that, love story and all.
You'd think some solid damage control might help, right? Enter Disney's PR machine, which attempted to soften Rachel's image with a variety fluff piece. Spoiler alert, it did the exact opposite. Instead of showing growth or taking accountability, Rachel doubled down on playing the victim, leaning even further into her divisive attitude. It was almost as if she couldn't help herself. The article was meant to repair her reputation, but it backfired spectacularly because fans saw right through it. Then came her so-called apology. But let's be real, this wasn't some heartfelt moment of self-reflection. It was a carefully crafted Disney PR statement that Rachel simply copy-pasted for the audience. And fans knew it. The apology felt cold, rehearsed, and completely fake. These days, YouTubers, influencers, and celebrities apologize all the time, and fans have become experts at spotting insincere, corporate-mandated statements. Rachel's apology was no exception, and the internet wasted no time tearing it apart. The backlash was brutal. Fans pointed out that this wasn't just a one-time slip-up, it was part of a pattern. Many even brought up Disney's past firing of Gina Carano, who lost her job over a social media post that some found offensive. Yet Rachel, despite making far more controversial comments, got to keep her role. The hypocrisy wasn't lost on anyone, and it only added fuel to the fire. Fans didn't just reject her apology, they outright mocked it. Social media flooded with comments calling it insincere and labeling it a blatant PR stunt. Replies like, "She doesn't mean it," "Too little, too late," and "This is just Disney's damage control" dominated the conversation. Some even argued that it would have been better if she hadn't apologized at all, because the attempt only made things worse.
Cultural significance is you had an actress out there just talking shit constantly. She won't shut the fuck up. And yes, it has hurt the movie. To roll out there and say Rachel Zegler's act over the last year and a half has not affected this movie is utter fucking bullshit.
Adding to the chaos is the overwhelming wave of bad buzz surrounding the film itself. With a reported budget north of $200 million, Snow White needs to gross at least $400 million, possibly closer to $600 million, just to break even. That's a massive hurdle for any movie, let alone one drowning in controversy from the start. Fans have been vocal about boycotting the film, and Rachel's involvement seems to be the #1 reason why. It's hard to ignore just how much damage Rachel has caused Disney. Even after reshooting scenes, delaying the release by a year, and pouring millions more into the project, the negativity hasn't faded. In fact, it's only getting louder. At this point, Disney is probably counting down the days until they can release the movie and move on from this disaster. Rachel Zegler may have thought she was untouchable, but this fiasco is proving otherwise. What do you think about Disney's Snow White and Rachel's role in its downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Disney's missteps and Hollywood controversies. See you in the next video.